In this video we're going to have a look at rounding, and essentially to be able to round we just need to know these two rules here. 5 or more we round the number up, 4 or less the number would stay the same. So the number is either going to stay the same or go up by 1. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a few kind of sets of examples here to help you out. Okay, kind of batch number 1 is round the following to the nearest whole number. Okay, so in this instance the whole number would be the 7, the 2, and the 8 here. It's essentially like we're wanting to round it to the nearest unit. So that's what you're thinking about in your place value system here. What we do, and what we're going to suggest we look at, is draw a backwards L. So we're wanting to round to the nearest whole number. So we're going to draw a backwards L around that number there. Okay? So it's this number here that will stay the same or go up by 1 depending on the number to the right of it, the 8. Oops, it's easy. Okay, so the 7 will stay a 7 or go up by 1 depending on this number here. Because that number is 5 or more, the 7 gets rounded up by 1. Because 7.8 is closer to 8 than it is to 7. Let's have a look at this example. We want to round 102.4 to the nearest whole number. Okay, so that means we're going to the nearest unit. So we're going to draw a backwards L around this 2. What that means is this 2 will stay a 2 or go up by 1, and it depends on this number here. That number, the 4, is less than 5. So because the 4 is less than 5, it stays 102, because 102.4 is closer to 102 than it is to 103. Now look at example C, 88.7. We want to round this to the nearest whole number, i.e. the nearest unit. Okay, so I'm going to put a backwards L on this number here. So it is this number here that will stay the same or go up by 1 depending on this number here. So the 8 will stay an 8 or become a 9. And hopefully you can see that because this number here is bigger than 5, it's going to go up to 9. So my answer is 89. Okay, because 88.7 is closer to 89 than it is to 88. Example D, 68.5. So we're doing this to the nearest unit. I'm going to put the backwards L around my unit column, the nearest whole number. Okay, so this 8 will stay an 8 or go up by 1, and it depends on this number here. Because this number here is 5 or more, the 8 will become a 9, so 69. Okay, so 68.5 would get rounded to 69. It's a convention that if we're exactly halfway, we round up. Okay, so that's if we're rounding to the nearest whole number. We're going to have a look at rounding to 1 decimal place now. Okay, it's just a little bit different. The same strategy each time though. We want to round the following to 1 decimal place. That means in our answer, we've got one number after the decimal point. So we want to round to 1 decimal place. The number is 18.364. So this time I'm going to put the backwards L after that number here because that is 1 decimal place. So this number will stay the same or it will go up by 1 depending on the number to the right of it. The number to the right of it is bigger than 5, therefore this 3 will be rounded up. My answer, 18.4. Let's have a look at B. 70.56. We want to round this to 1 decimal place, so I'm going to put my backwards L after my first decimal place. So this 5 will stay the same. Let's get this. This 5 will stay the same or it will go up by 1 depending on this number here. This number here is bigger than 5. Remember it's 5 or more we round up, so therefore it's going to be 70.6. When I round to 1 decimal place, there's only one number after my decimal point. Example C, 12.349. I'm doing this to 1 decimal place. Okay, so because I'm doing it to 1 decimal place, I'll put my backwards L after the first number in my decimal place. Okay, so this 3 will stay the same or it will go up by 1, and it will go up by 1 depending on this number here. If this number is 5 or more, this number here will go up by 1. If it's 4 or less, it stays the same. So here you can hopefully see it's 4 or less, so therefore my answer is 12.3. Okay, one final wee set of examples here. We're going to round these ones to 2 decimal places. 73.627. Because we're going to 2 decimal places, my backwards L is going to go after the second number after my decimal point. If it was 3 decimal places, it would go after the third number. Okay, because it's going to 2 decimal places, I'm going to have 2 numbers after the decimal point in my final answer. So this number will stay the same or go up by 1 depending on this number here. We can clearly see that this number is bigger than 5, so therefore the 2 will be rounded up to a 3. So my final answer is 73.63. And finally, 140.153. We're doing this to 2 decimal places, so I'm going to put my backwards L after my second number after the decimal point. So this 5 will stay the same, or it will go up by 1 depending on this number here. This number, if it's 5 or more, it goes up by 1. If it's 4 or less, it stays the same. We can see here that this is in the 4 or less category, so therefore the 5 will stay the same, 140.15. Okay, that's certainly the strategy we'd use to round at high school. It's really important. It's something that kind of comes up towards the end of questions, but it can be worth a few marks throughout your time at high school. It's an important skill. Thank you very much.